David Wise.
Hi, David.
Roger. Who we got here? Mabel. In the dark. We've got Alex. David Reed. Linda Weatherly, not on the sofa. Grant with what looks like a glass of rosé there. Is it that, sir? Erie. Sandra. Let's just Liz Oliver is on the way in. Taking a little while. Obviously, Liz has got her video switched off, or she's not managing to connect with us. So welcome back to the personal magnetism. Oh, no, here's Liz, is coming on to see it. Yeah. To the personal magnetism masterclass. Who we got? Caroline. We've also got Mags. So that's, and there's Liz, though she's not sat down yet. There she is. So welcome back to the Personal Magnetism Masterclass. Thanks for bearing with us whilst I had 2 weeks out on my trip to Australia, which was interesting. All I can say is it's a long way. I don't know how I'm going to be able to, you can't change that, right? And so I've had the most horrendous jet lag there and back. But anyway, I'm back. So what we're on is episode 15, which is corporeal magnetism. It's not a word that we hear that much these days. Corporeal, basically, in the days of Theron Cudemont, meant body. So what he's talking about here is how you use your personal magnetism with physical contact. So there's a number of things he talks about. And again, I've had to rethink some of these things to bring them up to date, because he's still, you know, as we discussed in the previous episode, in a very win-lose era. I think the world's grown up since then. So corporeal magnetism is where you actually make physical contact with the person. Now, it brings up a number of interesting things, because Huna, in the ancient days of Hawaii, then what the kahuna would do, if they were going to do healing work with a client, is they would breathe together. We talked about breathing in previous episodes. And they would breathe together for as long as 7 hours. I think on one episode we breathed together for 7 minutes. And then what they would do is they'd do physical contact with the person, with their feet particularly, and their hands. These are major energy connectors. I mean, just do this for a second and just touch your fingers together and then feel the flow of energy between them. Just give me a thumbs up if you can feel that energy flow between your own fingers. Yeah. So these things are amazing. So they would do hands on, feet, hands, and probably they would do all of the chakras on the body with hands on, because their belief was that if somebody was mentally, emotionally, or physically not well, it was as a result of a lack of what they would call mana, what Theron Kudamont would call personal magnetism, and we'll get to this guy in a minute, what Franz Anton Mesmer would call animal magnetism. They believed it was basically that a person had a lack of that, or it wasn't flowing through their body correctly. And we've got that in also acupuncture, acupressure, reflexology. So what they would do is they would build this huge surcharge of mana and then blast the person's neurology to do hands-on healing, where there was the actual physical touch from the person with the magnetism and the client stroke the patient. Now, then Theron Kudamont talks about he talks about Mesmer. Mesmer did do hands-on healing, but more he did strokes over the person's body. So where he wasn't actually physically touching the person, he was literally doing which is what Theron Kudamont starts to talk about physical proximity, where you've got this mana in your hands and you stretch it you stroke it over the person's body. This was monumental in the days of Mesmer, because he would put people into a deep trance with energy so that they could have surgery. This is in the days before chemical anesthetics, and most surgeries would be amputations, because in the 1800s, if you broke your leg, the treatment was that they chopped it off. Sorry if anybody's a little bit squeamish. And there was no chemical anesthetics. So basically what they gave the patient was a bottle of gin and a piece of wood or leather to bite on. And the surgeons of the day were the people with the appropriate tools, which would either be carpenters or butchers, and they had 2 minutes to get their job done. If it took longer than 2 minutes, then the patient would die of shock. Mesmer put people into a deep trance using what Theron Kudamont talks about as being personal magnetism. He would call it animal magnetism. And they could have pain-free surgery, which was revolutionary in the day. And then we go like, well, how come that never got accepted or adopted or anything like that? Well, a guy called Esdale was into mesmerism. He worked out in India. There was a war taking place in India at the time. And he volunteered to work in a field hospital. A bit like the 1800s version of MASH, I guess, if you remember MASH, if you're old enough. He would do mesmerism with these soldiers who'd been injured. They would have pain-free surgery. Also, what they recorded was that these soldiers that had surgery with mesmerism beforehand would recover in half the time of the soldiers that didn't. Esdale was a bit of a hero. As a result, the company he worked for, which was a tea company, promoted him, and he was shipped back to London. And he decided to go to the Royal College of Surgeons in London in the 1800s to do a demonstration of pain-free surgery without well, there wasn't anesthesia at this point in time, with mesmerism. And he successfully did that. But he was thrown out because the Royal College of Surgeons said that the reason why somebody needed surgery was because they had sinned. The pain they went through in the surgery was penance for their sins, and therefore to have pain-free surgery was the work of the devil. And Esdale was thrown out. So that's the the link there with corporeal magnetism. Then Theron Cudemont talks very negatively, actually, about sexual magnetism. How certain men may use their sexual magnetism to woo women into bed. I think we've got to also put the era, the age that the book was written in, and if we broaden it out, the most powerful energy is sexual energy, not only from men but from women as well. I mean, it is life force energy. It is what creates attraction. So, some of the most magnetic people in history have also been regarded as being some with the most high levels of sexual energy, etc. We could look in the mid 1700s in Venice with Cagliostro. But also we could look at more recently Clinton was taken as having so much sexual energy that when he walked into a room, the room went quiet and he got everybody's attention. So, sexual energy, there's no difference between sexual energy, love energy, communication energy, if you understand the chakras in the body, and it is one of the most powerful forms of energy. Then what Theron Cudemont talks about is then the physical handshake as being a way of using corporeal energy, corporeal magnetism, as he put it. In the handshake, as in then what you do, you've got a physical contact and you transfer the energy with what he calls the direct command, which we talked about in previous episodes, which was, I'm more powerful than you. You know, I'm going to win over you. And we talked about that from a win-win, lose-lose perspective last time. Here was somebody that I know, and actually Sally knows him too, because I met Sally at the Centre for Consultancy, which was a franchise that I bought. And it was owned by a guy called Max Helicar. Now, Max definitely had an interesting handshake, because when you went to shake hands with Max, he would put his hand out like that. And it was just an unusual handshake, which attracted my attention. I didn't know anything about these things at this point in time. And I asked another guy at the centre why Max did that. Max does that because he's got nothing to prove. Whereas quite often when you go into a handshake, the person will do this, and then they'll do that to put their hand on top of your hand. And then also, you know, almost break your fingers with the grip as if it's like strength, which is the thing, and I'm in control of you. You couldn't do that with Max. When you went to shake hands with Max, you just did that. And it really stuck in my mind. So, you know, I started to adopt Max's handshake. And some people do not like that. Particularly men that want to use male power and physical strength, because they want to do that with you. But when you do that, you can't. It's kind of like, you know, this is all I am. And you still make that energetic connection, because you've got chakras in the palms of your hands, and you've already had an experience of what happens when you do this. Like next time you're with somebody that you feel comfortable with, maybe somebody that you love, do that with their hands. Actually, this might seem a bit weird, but in the world of energy, distance, location doesn't exist. So just put your hands up like this now. And imagine that we're making an energetic connection with our hands. Like we're touching each other's fingertips. Give me a wave if you can feel that. Yeah, I can. So that's my take on the chapter on corporeal energy. So if you've got any questions about that, then please put them in the chat. And then Sally will talk about who's asked questions, and we can do that. Sally, do we have any questions?
Not at the moment. What at the moment? Oh, hang on. Let me just see. Max has got a question for you, David.
Okay, Mags, you're up.
Thank you for sharing that. I think one of the things that you did many years ago, we did some energy work, and it was the bolts of energy kind of going from palm to palm. So that's kind of what it reminded me of, and kind of the energy. So thank you for sharing that. The question I have is this similar to Reiki healing, when kind of passing the energy over people, and is that kind of where the similarities?
So, with what Theron Kudamont's talking about with personal magnetism, he's talking about building your own energy. What Reiki talks about is bringing energy into your body from outside. And then being able to flow that to somebody else. I'm initiated into Reiki both through Seiki Reiki and Usui. And it's not your energy. It's like you're invoking this energy inside of you. Mm-hmm. It's similar to what we teach in Huna, with the Opua that we have in Huna. The difference is that with Reiki, the energy that you bring in is in the symbol, which is obviously not on the physical plane. With Huna, we have symbols, we have Hopua. What those names and symbols do, which is quite different, is that they actually invoke a god or a goddess to come inside of you, and then you would flow it to the person. Mm-hmm. How I differentiate the two, your personal magnetism is just your personal magnetism. It's just, either, as Theron Kudamont talked about, either attractive or repulsive for people. The energies in Reiki and also the energies in Huna have a specific quality. With Reiki, it's very passive. And so the Reiki person would literally have somebody take the energy through them. Whereas the Opua in Huna is very much more active.
Right.
It's like, okay, this person needs this particular energy. But then, similar to what we've talked about with personal magnetism, is that a particular Huna energy doesn't have any inbuilt intelligence. So if I was to use a particular Huna energy like Kai Kili Naoi Honua, Kane sends down the lightning and it hits the earth and makes the earth shake, which takes out earthbound energies. That's a general energy which I then need to imprint with my intention, because the energy of that Opua doesn't have any inbuilt intelligence. Does that make sense?
I think so, yes.
The closest relationship that I can think of from my electronics and radio background is that all radio stations broadcast on a particular frequency,
Yeah.
which is called a carrier wave.
Mm-hmm.
But it has no information on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So if you tuned in your radio set, it would just go shh, and that would be it.
Mm-hmm.
So then what a radio station does is they imprint on that carrier wave a news broadcast, music. So the energy, whether it be personal magnetism, whether it be Reiki, whether it be Huna energy from the Opua, whether it be elemental energy, is like the carrier wave. And it comes through our neurology. So then what we do is we put what's on the carrier wave, which is the intention. So if I'm using Kaikili Naui Hika Honua, then I will literally imprint on that energy when it comes in, take out the anger,
Right.
take out the sadness, take out the fear, take out the hurt, take out the guilt, take out the limiting belief.
Thank you for that.
Does that answer your question?
Guys, yeah. Thank you.
Cool.
Hey, Liz Oliver's got a question, Dave.
Liz, where are you?
I'm here in the dark. I'm here.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to find you on my screen. Yes, I can see you now.
Okay. So I was thinking about chakras. So you talked obviously about second chakra today, and in your previous sessions, you've talked about the importance of like physical energy with personal magnetism. So I presume that that's more related to the first chakra. And I guess I was thinking, what are the example like our heart energy or whatever, so if we get a bit older in our lives and we don't have as much physical and sexual energy, can we still build our personal magnetism using the energy in other chakras?
Yes, because all energy is energy. So, energy in the first chakra isn't so much about physical energy. It's the energy of being grounded, about being solid, about being stable. It's kind of like the energy that stops us flying away, if you like. So it's not necessarily only about our physical strength. Second chakra, obviously, some people call it sexual chakra because of where it's located. Is it about sex? Yes, it is. And what is it? It's important to chunk up on this and go, what is energy? What's sexual energy really about? Attraction. Yeah. And not only sexual attraction, attraction of anything from a polarity point of view. I could probably do a 90-minute talk just about energy in the second chakra, for that matter. Then third chakra is our willpower, our personal power. Then, as you were talking about, Liz, then fourth chakra is about love, but it's more than love. It's about nurturing. It's about being the caregiver. All of those kind of things, rather than just what most people think about as, I love this person. there are those people that you love so much that you want to care for them and you want to look after them and you want to nurture them. Then fifth chakra, which is throat, is the energy of communication, expression. Third eye is the energy of vision, but not just physical vision, being visionary. And then seventh chakra is pure spiritual energy. And all energy is energy. It's just where it appears in your body. So imagine, and again, I'm going back to my electronics analogies and my radio frequency analogies. Imagine the energy system in your body is you draw energy from the earth and you draw energy from spirit. And the middle one is the heart. So you draw energy up from the earth through the first three chakras, and you draw energy from spirit from the top three chakras, and they merge here. And then you can project them to somebody else there. The thing with it is that you can do that regardless of age, regardless of physical capabilities. And I think I've mentioned him before when we've been talking. Uncle George, tiny man, not physically big, not physically strong, small. Did he draw up energy through the lower chakras and draw down energy from the higher chakras and then send it out? Big style. Probably more than anybody else I've ever known. So I think the important thing, and this comes from Huna rather than from Theron Kudamon, is about balance. Having all of the energies in the body and all the seven chakras being balanced. I don't know if that answers. That's a very long answer, Liz.
It was a very, very helpful answer.
To your question.
That's good. Very good. Good information. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Thank you for your question, Liz. Sally, are there any other questions?
Phil has a question for you.
Sorry? Phil.
Yeah.
Hey, Phil. How you doing, mate?
Good, David. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too, guy.
Yeah, I'm interested in a very selfish way, looking at how you can use it for sort of boosting one's own personal energy. I'll just say now, I put a question in, and Zoom could benefit from getting a spell checker, because I've said, how about kinesiology? And the way I spelt it is really interesting. So you could have a look at that afterwards.
Okay.
I'm thinking of three things. I'm thinking of, how can you get a quick boost? And I'm thinking of the sort of stuff that I've done in the past with kinesiology, in terms of, the stuff about holding your arm out.
With the muscle testing.
Yeah, muscle testing, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And get people to do it as part of a presentation skills workshop to, so they can look at, think of coffee. Does it make you strong? Does it make you weak? Whatever it is.
Right.
So I'm thinking of that. I'm also thinking a lot of what you're talking about reminds me a lot about EFT as well, and energy blockages and routines, and Callahan's work on, oh God, what was it called? TFT, thought field therapy.
Thought field therapy. Yep. And EFT. Yep.
Thinking, whoa, this actually fits as well with havening. Now, I've used all those three techniques myself, So
Okay.
it sounds like it's not a subset, but it's like an umbrella. What you're talking about in his book, it's very an umbrella that comes. I mean, hence the comment on Reiki before and Huna. I just thought, what are your thoughts on those things? Because I'm really what I'm really interested in, be it selfish, is like sort of self-empowerment, is being able to induce energy, positive thinking at the flick of your fingers,
Yeah. Okay. Great.
So whatever your general thoughts are on that, that would be appreciated.
Okay. So I came across havening when my business partner James Mallinson and I set up Fix My Mind therapy, and he wanted to go and do this havening training, which for me, with my NLP hat on, I just went, well, that's just
Pattern interrupt?
a pattern interrupt. Exactly, you got it. Yeah, that was my brain fart again.
Sorry, I was just trying to read your brain.
Oh, well, you did it. You did it very well, mate. You did it perfectly. I just said that's pattern interrupt. So is EMDR. So is TFT. So is EFT. For me, kinesiology is like using the pendulum in hypnosis and asking your unconscious mind, is it a yes or is it a no? And then I saw that, and James said, okay, he went and did the training anyway, because he's not very good at doing what he's told. And then he came back and he said, look, come and sit in with a session of havening. And I said, okay, brilliant, which I did. And I saw it work. So to be honest with you, I'm a big fan of havening now. And, you know, I've got I've read the book, The Past is Always Present, you know, very, very technically involved book. But I would say these psychosensory techniques absolutely work as a quick fix in the moment.
Okay.
Right? So, you know, if I am not feeling great, if I'm not in a positive state, if you look at Real World NLP and Huna YouTube channel, and you go to the playlists around what I did during the coronavirus, I did 3 sessions with James on havening.
All right. Okay.
And he taught the 3 different kinds of havening, which is event havening, transpirational havening, and then also transforming internal dialogue. And I mean, you could pay a fortune and do the training and get certified. You get it all just in those 3 videos that James and I did. Yeah, I believe they work. And they work with the nervous system, your neurology, which is what we've been talking about the entire time with personal magnetism and Theron Cudamont's view on this stuff, is that our nervous system, our neurology, is the hardware, if you like the cabling, the circuitry, and then what we bring into it is the mana, or, you know, what Theron Cudamont's been talking about as being the electromagnetic energy. But I love havening.
Yeah, so do I.
Just go and watch those videos.
Okay. Where are those videos again? They're on your YouTube channel.
Yeah, so if you go to, if you just search for David Shepherd, Shepherd, unusual spelling.
I know that.
Shep, hard, just think hard, right?
Yes, I know. As opposed to hard. Yes.
That'll be in your mind now. You won't be able to get rid of that now.
I have never had a problem with your name.
Real world, NLP and Huna. But I think even if you just put in David Shep Hard and NLP, it would come up.
Okay.
Please, when you go and check it out, please subscribe. It helps the channel massively. And
I may have already actually, but I've not Facebooked for a while.
No, it's not on Facebook. It's on YouTube.
Oh God Almighty! My hearing is gone now.
Pardon?
Yeah.
Got ya.
I know.
Sorry, Phil. That's our old us, from the old days.
Yes. Less of the old.
Well, tell me about it, right?
I'll
Phil.
let someone else ask a question.
Phil did my second ever practitioner training in late 1994, I think.
It was the 95-day period, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The 95-day attendance.
18 days.
Yeah, I remember it.
Brad Meyer
Yes.
was there.
I also did the introduction to hypnosis course, if you remember, for 3 days.
Yeah, I do.
I've still got the certificates.
Yep. This is a great thing, you see. We go, all the people that we have come on these things, we go back a long way, and then new people join.
You can't get rid of us, can you? You can't.
I don't want to, Phil.
Well, I've still got all your courses in the CD-ROMs and DVDs,
Yeah, we need to catch up about tape decks.
Yes.
I've been transferring all the old TAD material. And you're right. I bought quite an expensive tape deck to do it, and the quality is amazing. So we can catch up about that.
If you don't mind.
Yeah, but yeah,
I'll shut up and let someone else come in.
Did that answer your question, Phil?
More than that, yeah.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Sally, any other questions?
Linda has a question for you.
Linda.
There we are. Yes, I'm intrigued by, is there more to the animal magnetism? And I not only see it, but I use it in my work. So I'm curious as to know from where this is coming from. Is there some more to it that we can look at? To give you an example, I sat with one of my CEOs that I work with a couple of hours, and I actually saw a great white swim past me. It might be me, but I work with this stuff in my image business. So I've done it for a long, long time. So I've obviously accentuated it. But I'm just curious, therefore, is there, more to it? Okay, I can see it sometimes, and something we can all develop.
So animal magnetism is what Franz Anton Mesmer called the energy that he believed he'd discovered as a result of being trained by a Jesuit priest in Vienna called Maximilian Hell. So yeah, Mesmer did actually go to hell and ask for help. And Mesmer was very much into, and Hell was working with magnets. Mesmer was doing a PhD around the effect of the heavenly bodies on the human psyche. And not those kind of heavenly bodies, right? The planets. To come up with a scientific explanation for astrology.
Okay.
And so Mesmer believed that when the planets moved around in relationship to the Earth, their magnetic field changed, and that changed our psychology. Which is why he was interested in what Hell was doing with healing with magnets. And then one day, Mesmer showed up with a patient, a client, and he'd forgotten his magnets.
Yeah.
So all he did was wave his hands over the wound, and the same thing happened, the bleeding stopped, whatever. But he was still totally convinced it was all to do with magnetism. So therefore, he said that we had animal magnetism.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where that came from. Now, there's another thing with that, not so much about the energy, but there is the idea that a person's unconscious mind is an animal.
Which we did in Masterclass.
Yeah, we did.
That's what I was trying to look at, the connection. Do you see somebody's unconscious mind animal as an animal?
Some people do, yes.
Okay.
Some people do.
That must be what I saw.
So yes, that's what I would say. You was what you saw.
Yeah.
And anybody can learn to see that, to work that out. My unconscious mind's a black panther.
Yeah.
Which when I first discovered it, I wasn't very happy about, because when I was a kid, there was this serial killer, this serial rapist called the Black Panther. So
Remember that?
me coming face to face with my unconscious mind being a Black Panther, I wasn't very comfortable about. But then I started to realize that, you know, I wear a lot of black. And I've been told I shouldn't, because I should be wearing autumn colours by your Colour Me Beautiful people. Colours like orange and beige and brown and things like that. Phil's laughing. I can see him laughing there. No. And then I started to realise that when I lie in bed and I go to sleep, I lie in the same way that a Black Panther does. Like a big cat. Because a big cat is very similar to a big dog.
Yes.
So that would be the idea that a person's unconscious, and this is what the North American Indians were talking about with the totems. The carvings that they had were, you had a personal totem, and that was the totem that was your unconscious mind.
Yes. That makes sense. Yeah.
And then Uncle also believed that your higher self was represented by an animal. So his unconscious mind, if I remember rightly, was a turtle. His higher self was a shark. So a lot of the old Hawaiian drums had shark skin on them. He couldn't have a shark skin drum because it was like one of his ancestors or whatever, one of his Aumakua.
Yeah.
But there was a beach next to the Cow Beach Hotel, which is where we used to run the Huna trainings. And one morning I went down to the beach with Uncle. He chanted, and all of these turtles came out of the ocean.
Wow.
It was like unbelievable.
Fantastic.
And when you see things like that, you go like, well, you couldn't make it up, if you know what I mean.
Yes. Yes.
And then I'd watch the fishermen. There was this stone at the KR Beach Hotel, which had a perfectly round circle carved into it. And I'd see men go and put flowers in this little hole and then put their third eye, their forehead, to the stone. And so I asked Uncle, and he said that this stone was a stone that was the stone that represented the fish god. And what these fishermen were doing were actually praying to the fish god as to where do I need to go on the beach to cast my net
Yes.
to get all the fish that are okay with being caught. And so I'd follow these guys along early in the morning, and some of them would cast their nets out and they'd pull the nets back and there'd be nothing in them. But the guys who put their head onto and given an offering to the fish god, they would go to a different part of the beach, cast their net into the sea, and then haul out this huge amount of fish, and then just go home, whereas the others were still working hard, you know. And it's like when you see that, you can no longer go, this is rubbish, this is, make believe, this is whatever. So I think, Linda, that's what you saw. Does that answer your question, Linda?
You just dropped out a minute, Dave. She just come back in.
All right, okay. Even though you dropped out, Linda, did it answer your question?
Yes, and that was very weird. Okay. Yes, it did. It gave me the thing I've always known, or thought I knew, the connection between the, unconscious mind animal, because I work with it in my work, but I can see them. And then it has fantastic effect with a big group. But yes, I know what I'm seeing now.
Yeah, I was thinking about you actually when I was out in Australia, because one of the guys on my training is a horse whisperer.
Ah, yes.
And he's doing lots of work, corporate work, and creating lots of videos around that. And just before I'd gone out to Australia, I'd seen these reels where there were kids or adults standing next to the horses at Horse Guard Parade.
Yeah.
And there are certain people, the horse just goes.
Yeah.
There are other horses that go like, people that the horse just goes, attacks them,
Yeah.
And they're so sensitive.
Yes.
To that kind of stuff, So
yeah. I'll add something else to that. One of my friends who's a Reiki master healer, she came over to give my horse some treatment because he was a bit stiff. And then she suddenly went, whoa. And she said, he's giving me Reiki back. And he is a very special horse. So I've always understood them, and they have these powers, and they are so kind and gentle. But it's out there everywhere, isn't it?
Yep.
So I've seen it in lots of ways. Thank
Definitely.
you.
That's all right.
Fascinating as always.
Sandra has a question, David.
Hi, David.
Hi, Sandra. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Last time you gave me some advice saying about, I said about a man that I met, and you said that there was a connection and I couldn't get rid of it. Then you said if there would be someone else, with the same qualities, would that be okay? I said, yes, bring it on. That took about 4 days. And someone came into my life and I thought, he actually looked like him. And I thought, what is this? And it was quite funny. I'm not sure if that's the guy, but it was hilarious because I thought about you straight away. But now with the things that you said tonight, is it then possible that does this mean that you can have control over the how do you say that the sexual attention? Can you draw it to you and from you if you don't want it? You get my point?
Yep.
Because in between, someone else came back into my life, and I know there's a connection, but there's something off. I just don't know what it is that is off. I just know something is not right. And at this point, it is that he's not paying any attention or making any effort to make it work. So I'm a little bit confused.
How are you doing that?
How am I doing with me being confused? Yeah, well, because I feel like there is some kind of attraction drawn to that guy, but I know the other guy, we have so many similarities. I'm not sure, and I don't want to expect too much, considering what you told me last, and it was, I mean, it could just happen in a few days, but and I don't believe in coincidence, but what if it is, and I'm making it bigger, then I will break my own heart again. I think I might be in my head too much.
I think, Sandra, you're answering your own questions.
Advice is what you ask when you already know the answer, right?
So focus on what you want
Yeah.
rather than what you don't want. And then attract what you want and repel what you don't want.
Okay, so is that also possible then with the how do you say that, the sexual energy, for example?
Yeah.
Because maybe my subconscious mind gave a different direction than what my heart was saying.
Well, you know, the important thing is to have the energy in alignment.
Yeah.
So what you want to attract sexually, have it in alignment with what you want to attract from a love or a heart point of view.
Right.
When they're both the same, then, because, you know, you can have love without sex and you can have sex without love, right?
Yeah, the last thing is much easier. I mean, then it's just lust and no, how do you say that, difficulties. But I want the difficulties.
Oh, you want the difficulties, and then you
Yeah,
want...
well, not really, but you get my point, right? I mean, want to share things with someone.
I work on replacing the word or with and.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
How about having love and lust?
Sounds great to me.
There you go then. Why are you shaking your head no?
Oh, then I want that. Maybe I'm gonna text this other guy again. See
Right.
how fast it goes this time.
You've got 3 days.
Okay. I'll start tonight. Thank you so much.
That's a pleasure. Did that answer your question, Sandra?
It did. It did. Thank you.
Okay, Alex is up next.
Okay. Maybe I won't be having my meatballs.
I'm just trying to find my question. Hello, David. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Alex. How you doing?
All right. Thank you. My question is, I'm interested in knowing if intuition has a play in personal magnetism, and has intuition got frequency? A frequency.
Alex, you asked really good questions. You asked questions that nobody's ever asked me before. So I go like, hang on a minute, I need to think about that one. So intuition would be from your unconscious mind. Your unconscious mind lives in your emotional body, which is chakras 2 and 3. So yes, it would therefore have a frequency. Lower, so intuitions would be in your upper emotional mind, which would be related to your 3rd chakra. Instincts would be in your lower emotional mind. They're the kind of thing that keep us alive.
Yeah.
Inspiration would be in your higher self. So, Alex, have you ever had a thing where you've been faced with a challenge, faced with a problem, whatever it is, and then suddenly you got the answer all in one go, and it just appeared to come out of nowhere?
Yeah.
You've had that, right?
Yeah.
That's instinct. That's inspiration. So that's higher self rather than unconscious mind. You know, all the great composers were into occult and magical orders, and all of them, like Mozart as an example, said that he didn't have to create an opera or a concerto. It all just downloaded into his head in one go.
Yeah.
Then all he had to do was write it down. He didn't compose it. So intuition is your unconscious mind. I believe it's important to trust your intuition, trust your instincts, and your conscious mind and your unconscious mind every now and again can get things wrong. And it's not that they're getting it, your unconscious mind's getting it wrong to fuck you up or any of those kind of things. It's doing its best with what it's got available. And your instincts and your intuitions are from your unconscious mind saying there's something you need to pay attention to. And so from a frequency point of view, your unconscious mind would be at a lower frequency than your higher self.
Yeah.
And the only way for your higher self to actually communicate with you, paradoxically, and I know, Alex, you're totally okay with paradoxes, the only way that your higher self is going to communicate with you is via your unconscious mind.
Yes. I and I've had this downloading stuff because I write poetry, so And that I get
Yep.
that. So I understand about that. And I've been in situations where I've had to allow my instinct to take over.
Yep.
So yeah, thank you. I shall muse on this. Thank you so much for your great wisdom and your lovely teachings.
Well, thank you, Alex. I appreciate that.
Okay, one final question from Leo.
Lior, I didn't see Lior was here.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't use the video today.
Okay. I can hear your voice. Are you still in Canada or are you?
I'm still in Canada. I'm in Toronto. Yes.
Good.
I'm planning to stay here for the next couple of years at least.
I think that's probably a good idea on your part,
Yeah,
to be honest.
that was the plan, and hopefully longer. So we'll see how things go. I actually took a leaf from Sandra's book and answered my own question, but I will ask it anyway. So I wanted to ask it last time you mentioned the animal. So how do we find our animals? And can those animals be also mythical animals like phoenix, unicorn, and dragon? And after you had the discussion with Sandra, I'll just ask my unconscious mind. So I found the animal and I also verified with the unconscious mind the higher self animal, and I know both right now. But my higher self is a mythical animal.
Okay. So, what was your question?
No, I had the question if it can be, how can we find it? And if it can be a mythical animal and not necessarily like an earth animal.
Your unconscious mind would tend to be an earth animal.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Your higher self could be a mythical animal.
That's what I got. And I just asked. So is there any other way to find out for people?
What if you wanted to make it more complicated?
No, for other people that cannot just ask.
So I did a guided meditation where I went through the jungle. You know, there was all animals and birds and all this kind of stuff, and then there was this lake. And I think this might have been what Linda was talking about on Masterclass. And then you look in the lake, because there are two kinds of mirrors. There are the silver mirrors that we look into every day in our bathroom and stuff, and they reflect our conscious mind. Then there are black mirrors, which reflect our unconscious mind. That's a magical mirror. And an example of a black mirror would be a body of water where you can see your reflection. Again, taking it back to the KR Beach Hotel, was King David Kalakawa's summer house and King David Kalakawa's bathing pool, which was so deep that you look to the water, it would appear to be totally black.
Yes.
That wasn't King David Kalakawa's bathing pool. That was King David Kalakawa's magical mirror.
Got it.
So, I was in this meditation and I looked into this pool of water and saw my reflection, and I came literally face to face with a black panther. To the point where I went like, the next step would be, after you've worked out what your unconscious mind's animal is to ask your unconscious mind's animal what its name is.
Okay, I will do that next time.
And never tell anybody that name.
Okay.
There's an old saying in magic: if you know somebody's true name, then you control them.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody's true name is the name of their unconscious mind.
Yeah, it's like in the play or the book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So when you get the name, keep that to yourself. And then what you can do is you can go, okay, dear unconscious mind, because my unconscious mind likes being called dear. Only respond when you are instructed by name.
Okay.
And that's how you lock up your unconscious mind.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll do that. I am also very kind when I'm talking to my unconscious mind. And
Yeah.
now that I know the animal, I think it was a good idea. I've been kind so far. So, yeah.
I always remember this puts a time frame on it. We're in the office and this fax came through for me. And the guy who worked for me at the time, Paul, brings this fax up, and this fax was from Brazil. And the first line says, "Expensive Dr. Shepherd." And I thought, I like that. They've heard of me already. And Paul goes to me, "You haven't got it, have you?" I said, "Yeah, Expensive Dr. Shepherd. Yeah, they've heard of me." He goes, "You haven't got it, have you?" I said, "Yeah, Expensive Dr. Shepherd." He goes, "Sandra's just got it." He said, "They've looked up deer in the thesaurus."
Oh.
So we're like, oh.
That's funny.
Yep, so there we go.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Thanks.
That's a pleasure. Leo, did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, good.
And that was the last question.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Was that good? Great, thank you. And it's all been recorded, so you'll get sent the recordings. And for those of you who can't be here because of time zones or whatever, thanks for watching the recording. Check out Real World NLP and Huna on YouTube. There's about 500 videos there. Subscribe, like the videos. That's where our new podcast, The Results Show, comes out every week, which is how we use NLP and Huna and hypnosis or whatever in real life. And I've just been told by my co-host Pete Burnett that now if you type in The Results Show into YouTube, we are now #1 on YouTube for The Results Show. So thank you. That's a big achievement. And there's 22 episodes out so far. The current episode is Presenting Magically Express. How do you manage your state as a presenter? So, and it's not just me and Pete. We've got guests. We've got whatever, people who've done our trainings and gone out there and used what they've learned in real life, in leadership, in business, in relationships, in family, whatever. So, yeah, there's a lot to watch there. So, subscribe, like. That'd be great. All right, guys. Good night, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. We'll see you next week. Same time, same back channel. See you guys.